Oi, oi. I'm going to do another Ante-Post insight video. That's going to be coming up fairly soon. Probably might get it out this weekend or next week. Won't get it out this weekend. I'll get it out next week. So the Ante-Post insight, the feel with that is to go through the majority of the markets. We'll go through every single day. And I'll look where the next bets may be coming from. So markets I might want to be getting stuck into. The purpose of this video, though, is to tell you about my second Ante-Post bet for Cheltenham. Again, I'm doing a weekly column for gg.co.uk. I'm just mentioning that, so if you want to go and have a read, that tells you my thoughts on some performances from the previous week. It gives me some things to look forward to for the weeks coming up and gives you guys a bit of an insight on where my head's at with those. And then I'm going to be putting up some bets when the time is right. So, bet number 2 comes in the form of the Mares Hurdle. And I'm guessing a lot of you might have been able to guess it from the thumbnail. A lot of you better guess it from my horses to follow. But it is Lucia for the Mares Hurdle at a top price of 16 to 1. Now, what I will do is I'll put a link in this video somewhere, hopefully, or in the description, definitely be in the description of the GG column. So you can go and see some numbers and bits and pieces I've put in there as well. But I'll try and keep this particular video short. As I say, an Ante-Post Insight episode 2 will be coming out in the next week, probably next week, where I'll go for every single race, a bit more thoughts. If you want to drop any comments or questions preempting for that, do them in here. If not, you can watch that. And then if you've got any questions, I'll come back and answer each of those. So the Mares Hurdle, I think, is ripe for a bet at the moment, okay? Multiple reasons for that. It just looks like there's a few horses that you could make a bit of a case for at prices where you could argue that they look like they could be okay. And this is the type of race where you could potentially play a few of them. And mainly the reason behind that is there are some lingering question marks around Lossiemouth, I guess. So if I'm to address those first, the reason I want to talk about the sort of overbearing thing with Lossiemouth is juveniles stepping up into open company. It is a reasonably big gap. Now, there have been some great horses in the past, like a Catch It that goes and wins a juvenile and then goes and wins a champion hurdle that can go and do it, but there's been lots of horses that haven't been able to continue that gap. What we're looking at really from a mare's like novice perspective going into a mare's open type level is really your good mares are going to be rated somewhere between 150 and 160. Your exceptional mares will be rated in excess of 160. But the sort of crop that we've got at the moment, there isn't anyone in that ballpark. Now, especially now Honeysuckle's gone. But for the novices, you really, 140 to 150 is the pitch where you'd have done well to achieve those sort of numbers. So Lossiemouth finished the season on 147, went into Cheltenham rated 142. My selection, Lucia, went into Cheltenham rated 142 as well. Now, the key thing with Lucia is there was an issue with her before Cheltenham. The exchanges told us that she was very, very weak on there. And Nikki Henderson has come out and said that there was she wasn't her best at Cheltenham, and then was expecting a bit more at Aintree, where she's run all right, to be fair. It's a grade 1, it's against the boys. But I still don't believe at Aintree they would have got her perfect and would have got her completely sorted. So what I'm talking about here is Lucia had 2 hurdle runs and then was able to achieve an official rating of 142. Now, it took Lossiemouth a little bit more time than that to reach that official rating. But I think Lucia was on an upward curve and then something stunted that. So she wasn't able to progress past. And actually, her marks come down a little bit, which is why I'm talking about my horses to follow. She's ripe for a handicap plot. Now, the timing of the bet has come out because she had an entry, still has the entry at Wetherby in the Mares Hurdle. Now, this was a race that was used by Marie's Rock by Nikki Henderson before. She got beat in this, got beat again after in the Greatwood, got beat again, I think, before that, and then went and won at Cheltenham at 18 to 1. Now, I wasn't sure whether Lucia will or will not run, and even at the time of recording, I'm not 100% sure, but I would have liked to think she won't. I still think he can exploit that handicap mark, whether it's the Greatwood, whether it's the Jerry Fielden, or some other handicap at Newbury that he wants to use. I think Newbury probably will be the starting point, but we'll have to see. But had she have run in this race, because he has alluded to the fact he wants to run in all the good mares races this season, I could have seen her running well. And if she had run in this race and she had run well, the price was going to contract. So at the time of writing the column, the fact that she may or may not run, I don't mind about getting stuck into her now. And it does look like on the short-term Ante-Post, she's been pushed out to 7 to 2 with a lot of bookmakers, and Katira and You Wear It Well have shortened up. So you'd get the vibe that she's probably not going to start out here. So that could be a positive. Obviously, if she went and bolted up in here, beating the UK side of the girls, apart from Love Envoy, she would be stamping her authority as the top of the crop. If she goes and wins a handicap, she, yes, will look good, but she still potentially needs to prove herself a little bit against either the girls or in an international hurdle or any sorts of stuff. Who knows? But I'm happy to get stuck into it. And the reason I think the 16 to 1's too big, like I talked a little bit there about the Lossiemouth comparisons. Now, Lossiemouth may be a speedy type horse. Lucia's brother Hooper was like a 2.5 miler, or a little bit better in fact, just over 2 miles. I think Lucia could be about the same. We don't know with Lossiemouth. She might be speedy and she might be better stepped up in trip. I know Gala Marceau went and won the French Juvenile, and that was over a further trip. But again, it's juvenile form, so it's hard to trust. And she was well held by Lossiemouth. But the step up in trip could see them two be split. But Lossiemouth ended on 147. Lucia and her reached Cheltenham at the same sort of figure. Had Lucia not had the uninterrupted preparation and she had run better, she may be the same sort of number as Lossiemouth at the back of that. She wasn't. It may be that she didn't have as much of an issue as I'm making out, and that's just the level of where she is, but I don't believe that is. The performances before were too good for my liking. So the fact that she's 5 times, right? Lossiemouth's 3 to 1, so for every pound you put in, you get 3 back. Lucia's 16 to 1. For every pound you put in, you get 16 back. I don't think that gap should be there. So I think she's a good price in comparison to that. Ashroe Diamond's a bit of an older novice. She has won and she's run well, but her best form is at Fairy House. I don't think much to the grade 3 or the grade 1 that she actually won last season. And in terms of figures, she hasn't achieved as much as Lucia had done in that Exeter race. So again, she deserves to be respected in the market, but she's 7s, Lucia's 16s. Again, variance in there. Gala Marceau was well held by Lossiemouth multiple times. Is 9 to 1 top price versus Lucia's 16 to 1. So again, I think there's a bit of an issue with the golf there. And it's not until we get down further than this. We've got Love Envoy at 12 to 1. Now, Love Envoy actually looks like a reasonable price. Ran well. However, she has come unstuck in some serious races in the past. Not 100% sure Cheltenham's her bag. She's 7 going 8. She's susceptible to an improver. But she could be too big a price. This is why I'm saying this race is ripe for a bet for those who've got an opinion. I love Echoes and Rain more than most people. She sort of proved that she can't do it at Cheltenham. Watch this be the year she bums it up, but she's a 14s pope. Like, she's like probably more exposed enough to say that's not the greatest price. And then we're starting to jump further down to what Katira and You Wear It Well. They're both 20s, potentially whichever one of those wins, whether it be on Saturday, should they take each other on, could contract in the market. But that's what's going to happen, right? We're going to have to find out the pecking order in the British side, which is going to be Love Envoy, Lucia, Katira, and You Wear It Well. Now, I believe Lucia and Love Envoy will be head and shoulders above anything else in Britain, and I'm hoping that whenever they meet, Lucia manages to get Love Envoy done. But they're competing for the best of British, right? And of the best of British, 12 to 1 bar. Of the Irish horses, Lossiemouth, Ashroe Diamond, Gala Marceau, well, they're all in the same yard. They have run against each other, so Willie might not be fussed about doing that. But we're going to find out the hierarchy, right? And the impression at the moment is that Lossiemouth is going to be the best of those. She's priced accordingly from that. Yes, her price can contract. Ashroe Diamond and Gala Marceau's prices potentially go out. But if there's a bit of a mix-up and Lossiemouth turns out to not be the best, that's a good percentage of the book that's taken up by a horse that could drift. She could end up switching to a champion hurdle. I think for her to do that, she's going to have to be real quick at 2 and then struggle at 2.5. So there's lots of variables. But all I mean is there's going to be a top Irish contender. There's going to be some top British contenders, potentially just one standout. I'm hoping that's going to be Lucia. And if it is Lucia, she's not going to be 16 to 1 of the day. I alluded to the Marie's Rock thing that happened earlier in the season. Mares can be inconsistent and in and out. So the point of getting the bet on early without having the benefit of seeing her have a run is the fact that she could just flop for most of the season and it could come good in the spring. Like she had those issues potentially in the spring. It may be that they've been carried forward to the beginning of the season, so she might not progress to the back end, or she might start off the season really well like she did last year, and it may be that she struggles later on. But whichever way it is, this is the time to get involved. So I will edit the bets now. I'll do the video before I upload. It takes me a little bit longer to do it, but I'll do it anyway. But I'll stick up here the 2 bets I put on. I've had 25 on Bet365, £25 on Betfair. Both 16 to 1 are the prices on those. So I've had £50 at 16 to 1. Lucia's my second bet in the Mares Hurdle. Let me know in the comments below what you think of it. If there's anything else you fancy. And like I say, the Ante-Post Insight video is going to come out next week. Let me know if there's any particular markets or particular horses you want me to talk about. I'll go for as much as I can in there, but still try and keep it concise. Yeah. Thank you all for your support. Good racing this weekend. Fingers crossed the weather keeps up for it. So I'll be putting out some bets and tips for that. Be lucky and yeah, speak to you soon.